Welcome back to the Foreign Report. I'm Seena Gazdavi, your foreign policy curious host. And with me in the virtual studio is Travis Irvine, Columbia Journalism School graduate and Ohio native. Look out. Wow. We are the Foreign Report here giving you the gory details, and it is gory, of all the geopolitics that are happening around the world, with hopefully some light and some laughter along the way. God help us. If you want to send us an email, theforeignreportlpn@gmail.com. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're adding freshy stuff up there, segments from the show. Check it out. Putting up posts. People are asking questions. It's really been a great place to connect with people, as well as the Spotify comments. I like those as well. Please rate us on podcast apps and stuff. Subscribe again on all your podcast platforms. And we also have a newsletter where we give you what happened since we recorded, because apparently wars break out since we record this show. Travis, how are you?
Wars start and then they end, but then do they end? Are there repercussions? We don't know. We record on Wednesdays. The world changes on Fridays. By Monday, it's all over. And then by Tuesday, it starts again.
Exactly. I don't know where to start or stop. And then we always start Wednesday morning, and then I email our producer Danielle. I say, I don't know what we're going to talk about today. And then 90 minutes later, we have way too much to cover
to talk about,
in the show. And then Travis brings his stories, and then we have other stories that are coming in, and it's like, I can't do it. I can't do it. And by the way, bonus episodes are a lot of work. I mean, someone needs to pay me a salary. And I need to get health care. I need to get a 401k.
Let me call my friends in the Iranian government.
I'll
see if they're game.
For the YouTube channel out there, and for the audio listeners as well, the YouTube people can see Travis right now. But for the audio listeners, Travis looks like a Muslim cleric intellectual with his beard right now.
Well, I look like a Vice reporter trying to sneak into an ISIS camp is how I describe it, right? I've just kind of grown. I'm ready to infiltrate. Send me in, guys. I will infiltrate the nuclear facilities.
I honestly, until just now, when you told me before we start recording, I didn't really realize that this is because your beard doesn't grow. It doesn't connect.
Right. They call it Johnny Depp disease. It's a very serious, it's where your mustache and your beard, it doesn't connect. Like, I'm looking at you right now. Everyone on YouTube can see you. You have a beautiful bushy beard that can grow, and it all connects. I know our engineer Adam, he grows a nice full beard. Ed Larson, I'm envious of all of you. Mine doesn't connect. It's just I have like little scraggly, like pube-like hairs that will grow randomly upon the face.
But you're not covered in hair, though. I'm covered in hair. Like, my beard connects to my neck and into the back of my head, which connects to my back hair, which goes all the way down into my ass. So,
which is just like the song.
Just
my
like
neck,
it.
My back.
My YouTube censored.
My Persian. And my crack. There it is. You got the full thing. It all connects. Good for you.
Well, I have to say, I feel
to your ass.
I feel a lot better about where we sit geopolitically right now. There are not active strikes happening between Israel and the Islamic Republic.
As of Wednesday, June 25th, 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific. Let's just clarify.
That's right.
As of right now.
So on the show today, I want to just talk a little bit about what's been happening over the last week. Yesterday, on Tuesday, June 24th, I recorded 2 interviews with some folks from some think tanks that are really good. They're analysts. Again, as always, we like to bring you a whole cornucopia of perspectives from people in the national security and intelligence space. You don't have to agree with everything. You don't even have to listen, but just let it wash over you. I like to learn about this stuff and talk about it because it actually helps separate me from the heightened cortisol levels that I have because I've been so stressed. I've been stress eating ice cream every day for the last... Actually, I've been... Before I got here, I was like, I'm going to go get some soft serve after the show records.
Treat yourself. It's like we said last week with Marcus. We are the ice cream of the geopolitical podcast in the manosphere.
This is in the number one in the manosphere. My wife actually had to even pump the brakes on me because she was. I'd look at the kids and be like, "Kids, you want ice cream?" And she'd be like, "You can't do this to these children. You can't bring your stress eating to these kids." All right, so we have technically a ceasefire. This 12-day, what people are calling a 12-day war, has technically ended. Well, what was the result? Pete Hegseth, JD Vance, Donald Trump all said they destroyed the nukes. They destroyed the nukes. And they destroyed the nuclear program. But an early intelligence report that was leaked from the Pentagon, the Defense Intelligence Agency, the Pentagon's intelligence arm, leaked to CNN that the strikes did not actually completely and totally obliterate Iran's nuclear enrichment facilities. And so one of the people that knew about this leak said that it was largely intact in Fordo. And the DIA assessment is that the U.S. set them back maybe a few months tops. Now, one of the things that people have been talking about is because Trump, yes, he said you got 2 weeks, but then he bombed the next day, but he was also telegraphing that they may bomb. And also, it was clear that Israel was avoiding Fordo in those initial round of strikes, Travis, right? So, like, what we were seeing was Israel not hitting it. So when the strikes were happening all around the country, the Islamic Republic regime started moving the enriched uranium out of those facilities in Fordo. And they put it into what people are saying secret facilities. They even moved apparently some centrifuges. And so what could potentially happen is Iran could spin up their nuke program faster than we anticipated than before. But thank God we went and obliterated that whole
completely obliterated.
Now
completely.
I want to be thoughtful and pragmatic.
Please.
We don't know 100% of what's happened because those facilities are way deep underground. Fordo especially was built to withstand a nuclear strike. So I don't know if it's like all gone or if it's just slightly inconvenienced. But I do know from every report that the Iranians moved a ton of stuff out of those facilities because they knew they were going to be targets.
Right. And Politico has basically written the same thing as well. The centrifuges, they're not difficult to move because they're about the size of like a scuba tank. And if there's any other my fellow scuba divers out there, you know, they are very heavy to carry on your back to the boat back and forth. But specifically, if you're a well-equipped Iranian regime who knows an attack is coming, it's probably a lot easier to move these very specific nuclear centrifuges that are only that size. You can easily move them to smaller places too, right? Obviously, the three largest Iranian centers for these nuclear facilities were targeted, but per what you were saying, the technology that they do have and the scientists and the technicians that they do have are very capable of moving these things to other places that are smaller facilities.
American foreign policy, and I don't even just mean Trump, has continuously, for as long as I've been alive, the approach has been, we can bomb an idea away. We can bomb the very concept of nuclear weapons or the know-how of nuclear weapons or the ideology that feeds into building those things.
Right. We're at war with terrorism.
Yeah.
An idea that people are mad.
Yeah. But you know what? If we just kill a few more,
just gonna kill a few more, man.
They're all gonna be like, you know what? I'm not upset. I'm not upset anymore.
Peace through strength.
And Israel kept saying, Bibi kept saying, this is not about regime change. Trump actually, I don't think we have the clip, but Trump was like, asked point blank, did you want regime change in Iran? He goes, no. If it happens, it happens. But no, I didn't want regime change. I just want everyone to be chill. And I'm paraphrasing.
But then he did the thing on Truth Social where he was like, who wouldn't want regime change? Let's make Iran great again.
Exactly.
Which is like, it's like MAGA, but MEGA? I don't know what you call that.
It's
MEGA.
awful. But I think what is interesting is that Bibi named the Operation Rising Lion. Okay.
Right, he called it that. Those are his words.
And you'll see in the interviews I talk about it. I've got the tattoo of the Persian lion on my body, and that is a nod to every Iranian that we're going to try to do regime change. You don't bomb the news agency because they have nuclear weapons. You don't bomb oil and gas refineries because they have nuclear weapons. You don't bomb the Evin prison because they have nuclear facilities, which, by the way, they bombed Evin prison, which is the most notoriously awful prison in Iran, where they torture people. It's like where all the political prisoners go. It is a terrible, terrible place. The idea was, let's bomb it. They bombed like the front door, basically, in a way, not necessarily the front door. They bombed it so that these prisoners could escape. Turns out, great job, Israel. So surgical, you bombed the infirmary. Okay?
Hey.
So it's like you just made life even worse for the people that are in there. So, again, this was, and then you got into it with the Islamic Republic, who, I mean, at least Israel, this is so crazy, the words that are about to come out of my mouth, we're saying we don't intend to kill civilians. The Islamic Republic was like, we're just going to bomb everything in Tel Aviv. We don't really care. They bombed launchers from the Iron Dome. They bombed residential buildings, clearly residential buildings. There didn't seem to be, from what I was reading, a real strategy or strategic precision in how they were doing it. They were just sending bombs. Israel was like, okay, we're going to try to do these specific targets, and then the collateral damage is the collateral damage. That is a awfully nuanced point that makes no one feel good, especially me. But it is,
Right.
It does say why we should not be in war in the first place. Okay.
Right.
And
Exactly.
so it's just, I'm happy that we are done with this. A message to all the Iranians. Oh, who knows? Who
We'll
knows?
see.
But
As
a message-
of 2
Yeah.
p.m. Eastern Standard, 11 a.m. Pacific time.
But as the people, I want a message to all the people in the diaspora that thought this was going to free the Iranian people. What do you think happened now? The Iranian regime's going to crack down on the population now. Actually, on the day that Israel was even attacking Iran, they executed some political prisoner from the women Zan Zendegi Azadi movement, the Women Life Freedom movement, a protester.
Good
Okay, so
grief.
what do we do? They don't work. The bombs don't work. And I'm confused, and we'll find this out in the interviews too. If you're a nuclear power, do you have to follow any sort of international law? What do you think, Travis? I don't think you do.
No, I don't think you do.
It's unequivocal. I also noticed, and we have some clips from JD Vance.
Basically, last week when we were on with Marcus Parks, we played an orgasmic clip of Ted Cruz and Tucker Carlson arguing.
Was that last week?
Yes. The last week has been a long few months. I don't know what to tell you.
Oh,
It's, for a brief moment, I felt very good, as you do in those situations. But it highlighted, again, between the MAGA movement, right? The interventionalists and the isolationists, right? There's people who don't want any more wars, and then there's people who actually love the wars. I mean, we all know the neocons have been embedded in the Republican Party for the last 25 plus years. So that's what the Ted Cruz Tucker Carlson interview highlighted. Now that the United States has actually gone and dropped bunker buster bombs, right? These 300,000 pound bombs on the nuclear sites. Now that it's actually happened, JD Vance was sent out as a former isolationist. We remember from the Signalgate chat, right? He was the isolationist. Let's think about this. They sent him out, they rolled him out to basically fight a war of semantics, is what I would like to call it. And that is basically tricking MAGA, these folks who are anti-war, anti-interventionalism, to basically understand that what President Trump did was actually good and avoids war and will help us bring peace.
Ooh.
JD Vance, the master of deception, roll him out to meet the press.
My first question, Mr. Vice President, is the United States now at war with Iran?
No, Kristen, we're not at war with Iran. We're at war with Iran's nuclear program. And let me just say, Kristen, that we're incredibly grateful and proud of the American Air Force pilots who did an incredible job last night. The operation was really extraordinary. These guys flew from Missouri. They didn't land a single time. They dropped 30,000-pound bombs on a target the size of a washing machine, and then got back home safely without ever landing in the Middle East or ever stopping other than to briefly refuel. And of course, they did that in the air. So it's really an incredible operation, a testament to the power of American military. And I think what shows what can happen when you have that great American military in the hands of capable presidential leadership. What we did is we destroyed the Iranian nuclear program. I think we set that program back substantially, and we did it without endangering the lives of the American pilots. That's an incredible thing, and I think we all should be proud. Whatever our politics, we should be proud of what these guys accomplished. A very, very high-impact mission under a lot of pressure.
Woo! All right.
Wow.
Lots to unpack here, Seena. You ready?
Yeah, lay it on me.
All right. So again, like we established, queuing this thing up, JD is being rolled out on the Sunday morning talk shows the day after the United States went into Iran and dropped these bombs to basically explain that this is different from the last 25 years of interventionism in the Middle East, right? This is peace through strength. Right? Is peace through war? What is, again, and I think you're going to get to it here when we define the war and ceasefires and all these other terms. But what JD had to do there was go put the spin on it, right? So he highlights a couple of things that, unfortunately, because everyone does hate JD Vance, just this brief appearance on Meet the Press on Sunday spawned so many think pieces that are, of course, in my algorithm, because my algorithm is filled with JD
It's
Vance
all
hate.
Vance all the time.
It's just all JD Vance hate all the time. So, of course, yes, now he's basically turning himself again into the MAGA chameleon and selling these bombings as actually helpful and not interventionist whatsoever. He also said that past presidents were dumb. Keep in mind, he is serving under, in terms of IQ, one of the dumbest presidents of entire American history. Okay, even Roger Stone called Donald Trump Chauncey Gardner, which is a referral to the Peter Sellers character in the movie Being There, about a simpleton who just says things. He just says what comes to his mind, and he likes watching TV.
And and Roger Stone loves Donald Trump.
Exactly. And that's what Roger Stone says about Donald Trump. So the fact that, again, JD is this twisting of the words. Other presidents were dumb. He's talking about Biden, Obama, Bush. Sure, W. Bush, obviously an idiot. But now saying that Trump is not dumb, and it's just a complete obliteration of the English language. He also said in this interview that we substantially set back Iran's nuclear programs. You just highlighted it, we just talked about, and there's a great think piece from Politico, which they literally put JD's name in the headline saying that he is wrong. And that is that, like you said, we don't know for a fact if we've substantially set back their programs. If anything, this Politico piece actually highlights the fact that, like you said, the Iranian regime is probably now emboldened, right? And they had plenty of time to move things around. That, again, that the technology they have doesn't need to be in these huge nuclear facilities. It can be moved to smaller facilities, and they could even just engineer a bomb there within the next few months to a year. So, again, JD Vance getting his words wrong and spinning everything completely. Add to all of this, not just beyond the Meet the Press interview, but keep in mind that JD was also sent to LA the day before we bombed Iran. And he was sent there to brag about the fact that the Trump administration, keep in mind, 2 weeks ago, we were talking about LA. Last week, we were talking about Iran. Again, the last few weeks have been a long few months. But JD was sent to LA to brag about the fact that the National Guard, the Trump administration, won their lawsuit and saying that the federal government underneath Trump, they're allowed to control the California National Guard. Gavin Newsom, governor of California, had sued the Trump administration to take back the authority to control the National Guard in California. Of course, as we covered 2 weeks ago, the National Guard was sent into LA to help quell the protest. It only inflamed them. It only made it worse. And JD Vance, of course, was sent there to basically demonize the Democrat mayor, Karen Bass, to demonize the Democrat governor, Gavin Newsom, and say this was a big win for the Trump administration. That's what he does. And I just want to highlight, because this is my hometown news outlet, the Ohio Capital Journal, former broadcast journalist Mary Lou Johannick. She does great work. This is an opinion piece, and Ohio Capital Journal, Seena, very near and dear to my heart because it's a part of State's Newsroom, which is a nonprofit news organization. All right. They don't have ads. They don't have paywalls. This is all nonprofit news. And it's kind of the future. As a Columbia Journalism School alumni, it's kind of the future of where journalism is headed. She really nails it. Mary Lou Johannick, this is what she says about JD Vance, who not only, again, spinning the war in Iran, but goes to LA. He throws the U.S. Senator Alex Padilla. He called him Jose Padilla.
Yeah.
Which is a comparison to literally a convicted domestic terrorist. So this is a former colleague of his in the U.S. Senate. And it prompted all of this. LA Mayor Karen Bass asked, why did the vice president come to spew, quote, lies and utter nonsense in an attempt to provoke division and conflict in our city? And why did he mock the first Latino elected to the U.S. Senate by intentionally misnaming him? And Mary Lou, very rightfully, in my opinion, writes, it's the same reason that JD Vance put Ohio City and its Haitian community in danger last year, 2024, during the election, with savage lies about pet-eating immigrants to snag attention, stoke ugly, and distort truth beyond recognition. A slick Vance played his fellow citizens for chumps with trumped-up bullshit that American troops belong on American streets and a wanton act of war by the U.S., in fact, is not. That's not leadership. That's a glib gaslighting from a cringe-making toady. And
wow,
quote,
Mary Lou.
Yeah, with
Savage.
the pure fire. And it just sums up JD in a nutshell. He'll twist his words, be a chameleon of MAGA to sell everything as he needs to because he is the heir apparent to the MAGA movement in 2028. So he's got to go out there and do what he has to do to keep his power. And it's disgusting.
If I punch you in the face, Travis, you say, hey, are we fighting? And I'm going to say, no, I'm not fighting with you. Mm-hmm. I'm fighting with your face.
Oh, okay. Right. We're not at war with Iran. We're at war with Iran's nuclear program. We're just a part of the country.
And by the way, who paid for that nuclear program? It's the Iranian people.
Yes.
So whether they hate their regime or not, and they have been bankrupted by this regime, you just made them even more upset at you now. You gave them the excuse to actually unify against the United States and the Western influences.
Yes.
This is ridiculous.
Yes.
This is a regime that kills its own people almost daily. And you just gave them the option of allowing them to team up. It's a mess. So we just said, what does war mean?
Right.
I think we all know that was a mess. That is a war. We entered a war. The president that said we would not be in wars is in a war. I think it's also important to note that he's going to keep us in this war until, I don't know, this is like if Iran spins it up again, we're just going to bomb them again. And then the ceasefire that happened just recently. I'm pretty sure cease and fire means you stop the firing.
Right. Yes. It's the two components of the word, yes.
And it seems like and you'll hear this in the interviews, I don't think these people know what the word ceasefire means. I don't think the word means what you think it means. There's also another word that comes up a lot, and JD Vance is on with Brett Baier on Fox News. And let me go to this.
Yes, and I'd like the audience to know I haven't seen this one yet, so my reaction will be reacting to it in real time. You literally already saw how upset I am over the Meet the Press thing that happened on Sunday. So let's just see what kind of 1984 doublespeak we get into this time.
This is very much doublespeak. You got to get ready for this, my man.
Oh boy.
Big for peace in the Middle East.
So you said totally obliterated. The president has said totally obliterated the Iran nuclear program.
Yeah.
Do you know for sure where all the highly enriched uranium is?
Well, Brett, I think that's actually not the question before us. The question before us is, can Iran enrich the uranium to a weapons-grade level, and can they convert that fuel to a nuclear weapon? And we know, based on the success of our mission, of course, the leadership of the president, but the incredible skill of our military, that the two mission objectives are completely successful. We know that they cannot build a nuclear weapon. Now, you asked about the highly enriched uranium.
Yeah, like 900
really?
pounds.
But what we know, Brett, is that uranium is something that exists in very large supply. Our goal was to bury the uranium, and I do think the uranium is buried, but our goal was to eliminate the enrichment and eliminate their ability to convert that enriched fuel into a nuclear weapon. I think this is an
So the ability, there's more to this clip. I just want to say we took out their ability. Again, our bombs remove ideas and knowledge.
Right.
That is what they're saying.
Uranium is actually a thing that's everywhere, all over the earth. But
it's all over.
We took away their uranium at the time. And also, your question is not actually a question.
Notice if you watch on YouTube, you watch the video version of this, JD Vance leans back in a very defensive posture when he gets asked that question.
Right.
So he's on the defensive, which means he's lying.
important point, Brett, because so many of the folks who have focused on the highly enriched uranium,
60%.
the main focus, Brett, has been to destroy their enrichment capacity, because we don't want that 60% uranium to become 90% uranium. That's the real concern, and that's what was so successful about our mission.
So after all this, if the Iranian government survives as is, what's to stop it from rebuilding over time if they, in fact, moved the 60% highly enriched uranium? That's the concern.
No, the big concern, Brett, and this is, again, what we destroyed, is their ability to enrich uranium. If they have 60% enriched uranium, but they don't have the ability to enrich it to 90%, and further, they don't have the ability to convert that to a nuclear weapon, that is mission success. That is the obliteration of their nuclear program, which is why the president, I think, rightly is using that term. But here's the question. If Iran is desperate to build a nuclear weapon in the future,
then they're
going to have to deal with a very, very powerful American military again. Our hope.
You
There
idiot!
was.
Everyone knows it's a powerful military.
You just said
this man is unconscionably stupid. I can't believe it. By the way, during that clip, I was watching Engineer Adam in the back shaking his head.
we're all shaking our heads.
Dismay. So frustrated. You've got to be kidding me. Doesn't he understand they're going to spin up? They think it's a Shiite revolution since 1979. They're not going to stop. You just said we're going to be in a perpetual state of going to bomb another country and kill more people. What country in the world is like, who's got a weak military? The United States. Okay? They don't really it's a paper tiger in the United States, man. Nobody says that. I had a Celsius again before we got on, Travis. I'm hovering above this.
It's okay. We're going to get you some ice cream after we're done recording. You're going to be just fine. But you just highlighted, JD Vance just said the quiet part out loud. And good on Brett Baer. Brett Baer is one of the only guys at Fox News I'm still like, he's a straightforward, old school newsman. This interview might cost him his job for all we know. But he just got JD to say, he just pressed JD as like, well, our own intelligence agencies are saying this and this and this, that there's still 900 pounds of uranium that got moved. There's still, and then you're talking about percentages. Well, they can't get to there at 60%, but then they can't get to 90%. And then JD says the quiet part out loud, which is what made you flip off your headphones in the studio for anyone watching. And as if they do get to that, then they will have to deal with us again. And that means he is lying when he says we are not in a permanent military entanglement with a foreign power. Because he just said that if they do this and this and this, then we'll be back again. And guess what? That's permanent entanglement with. This is the episode where we all have hernias and aneurysms. I need some ice cream.
Oh, God. All right, we got to stop this. Let's go to these interviews. Oh, my God.
Let's see if the experts can shine some positive light on anything.
What does the word obliterate even mean anymore?
Words. What are words?
Obliterate? I mean, I think obliterate means like it goes into space. Like it is at a molecular level gone.
Right. Well, they misuse it in sports all the time. He got obliterated on that play. Much like the Iranian nuclear program.
All right, Travis, that really was helpful for my blood pressure. Thank you.
Right.
Thank you for that.
That's what we do on this podcast. We want to get that blood pressure up.
Up.
When your doctor's like, hey, your blood pressure's too low, boom, listen to the foreign report. Fix you right up. Ah!
Did you snort a Celsius? Yes.
Yes, I did. And now I need to eat some ice cream.
I need ice cream to come down. When we come back, we're going to have an interview with someone from the Atlantic Council, a think tank. And then after that break, we'll have someone from another think tank to talk to. So let's take a quick break. This is the Foreign Report. I'll introduce them when we come back. I'm Seena Gazdavi, Travis Irvine. We'll be right back after this.